So while the media is focused on all of the Diet Cokes that apparently our president drinks every day, actually something really remarkable has happened. And it's the sign of the coming Christ. It is the sign of love and goodwill towards all men. Oh yes, I am speaking of the extrasolar phallus that is the shocker humanity has been waiting for. A great headline by Ian Miles Chong off Dangerous.com, and we're going to talk about this story today on Jinka Jabo. Oumuamua, a recently discovered interstellar object that passed by Earth in November, has been observed to move strangely, much like an aircraft whose engines are malfunctioning. Scientists led by Professor Stephen Hawking, whose theories have revolutionized the way we look at the universe, will be using state-of-the-art scanning equipment to discover what Oumuamua actually is. At a glance, Oumuamua resembles a Xantradi invading warship from the Japanese anime series Macross. Dr. Jason Wright, the leading astronomer at Penn State University, has put forth the possibility that it could be a broken alien spacecraft sent to probe other worlds by an alien civilization. He proposed that the object could be a von Neumann probe, a self-replicating spacecraft designed for expansive space exploration. The cigar-shaped object is about 1/4 of a mile long and 1/10 as wide, traveling at speeds of up to 196,000 miles per hour. Unlike other rocks, which move simply through space in an arc trajectory, astronomers say Oumuamua is tumbling through the solar system on an erratic course. Describing the object of his blog, Wright wrote, "Such derelict craft would, if they are not traveling so fast that they escape the galaxy, eventually thermalize with the stars and end up drifting around like any other interstellar comet or asteroid. In fact, since they presumably no longer have attitude control, one would expect that they would eventually begin to tumble, and if they are very rigid, that tumbling might distinguish them from ordinary interstellar asteroids. And in fact, just because their propulsion is broken doesn't mean that their radio transmitters would be broken." Contrary to earlier reports, Wright does not personally believe Oumuamua to be an alien spacecraft and expressed that he is just happy to engage in speculation with SETI contact. I think Oumuamua is interesting in its own right as an asteroid, and because of how it is getting us to think about how to find alien probes in the solar system, he wrote. So while it has not been confirmed to be an alien probe, it is possible, which is really remarkable, to think that on this holiday season we might be visited by a stranger from far away. And like I said, I hope these strangers, if they are there, are just like us. This might be another civilization of humans, or group of civilizations of humans, who this rock, this Oumuamua, could just be like our Voyager. Or our Voyager might someday become encased in rock and land in some alien solar system and confuse the inhabitants there. I keep wanting to say people there, but I guess they would be inhabitants. We'll call them people, space people. Aliens are space people, right? Good news. And it's exciting to think about. Because, ever since I was a kid, there's always been this wonder that maybe something really big will happen. Maybe we'll finally make contact. And I've always been, I guess, skeptical with aliens. I do, of course, believe there are other life forms in the universe. I mean, you can't deny that. The likelihood that we're it is just hard to believe. I can't imagine with a universe this big that we would be the only ones. And in my travels around the world now, it's like I've realized that we're all neighbors and we're all interconnected and we're all close. And it would be nice to get the hell out of here and to see something different. Doesn't matter, you go to the desert, you go to the tundra, you go to the jungles, it's all the same. It's like, I want to get out of here. There's nothing left to explore, really. The Challenger Deep, maybe. Deep Sea, I remember that as a kid, Sea Quest, watching that and thinking, okay, well, the stars are still too far off, but let's let's become a little more centered on Earth and see what's deep under the waves. Of course, in that case, I think it's less likely to find anything shocking. However, we keep finding new animals. I mean, we're still young in that sense. We still don't know everything that's in the Earth. We still haven't probed everything. Just recently, they found the largest cave in the world, which is here in Vietnam, which I would go see, but it's extremely expensive to get inside. I've been to some caves in Vietnam, but touristy ones, and you go there and it's cool and everything. It's like being in a museum or like on a movie set that someone else has set up. But you think, I remember going to a cave in Ha Long Bay, right, in the Gulf of Tonkin, and thinking, it'd be so much more fun if I were alone. If I could just be on my own in this cave, that would be exciting. If I could run around, if there weren't tour guides and lines and signs and lights and everything, it just made something very natural seem artificial. It's kind of like when I lived in China. I lived right on the coast of the Yellow Sea, and I would go to the grottos on the beach, and it was always isolated. For a city of 7 million people, I lived in Dali, and I could take a bus to a beach just a few minutes, not even an hour, and I could just be in what weren't completely remote, but uninhabited areas, and I could just hang out there and explore and see all these caves and everything. Of course, nothing like the big underground caverns that we find out here, nothing like going to the Challenger Deep, but at least a place to be nice and lonely. So I don't know. I think it would be great to just get on a spacecraft and just go as far as I could, because I know there's got to be something out there. But it's really mind-boggling to think about distance and space and all that. Is even driving around in the countryside, no matter where I am, there are always those rural places where you feel like you're totally disconnected from anything, where you wonder how long it'll take to get home. I remember driving around in Wisconsin in the winter and thinking, 3 or 4 miles or 3 or 4 hours out of any city, and I felt like I was completely abandoned, completely lost. That it was like Call the Wild, or it was like Into the Wild. That's what I'm thinking, not Jack London. I'm thinking about the story of that poor kid who went out to Alaska, and of course there's other people who followed him since, and some have died, retracing his nihilistic footsteps. But I've also heard, and I'm not much of an astronomy, aliens, science guy really, but I have heard that every transmission that we make, every radio signal, every video like I'm making right now, like this all spreads out into the universe anyway, and that maybe thousands of years from now someone will be hearing me for the very first time, and I'd like to say hello. I'm dead now, by the way. I mean, it's been thousands of years. I hopefully had a pretty good life. I did to this point, But it is Christmas season, and Christmas always gets lonely this time. Being out on my own, out in the Eastern Hemisphere, which is really home when you think about it. Because, I could hop on a plane and be back in the States in less than a day. But I'm still waiting for this aircraft, this spacecraft. It's not a spacecraft, it's an asteroid. I'm waiting for it to come. And I'm waiting to greet the aliens, and I'm waiting for them to liberate us all. And that can be the second coming of the Christ, This can be the new world. This can be the lion and the lamb sleeping together. Maybe they have that technology. But it's so hard to believe. Maybe if something like this would happen, it would seem shocking for a little while, and then we'd all just kind of get used to it, like District 9 or something, or there could be other problems. Whenever we have these fantasies, we think of how we treat each other, and we assume that's how we would treat aliens. But if they did come to Earth, I think, if anything, it would make us more loving to each other and more cooperative, because that's just the way history works. That's just the way progress happens. It took cooperation on their end, supposing that we are talking about real aliens and a real probe, to get that thing over to us. It wasn't just a bunch of apes killing each other, which is sort of what we're still stuck in. Anyway, Oumuamua, it's named that because it was discovered from an observatory in Hawaii. And Oumuamua means visitor from afar who was sent first. So these guys are far away, and they've sent us something before we have sent them something. It reminds me of the opening lines in Confucius Analects when he talks about the great joy of friends visiting from afar. And that would be a great joy. And anyone out there, I hope you make it back to us in our lifetime. And anyone else, my name was Justin, and this was my YouTube channel. And thanks for watching.